All right, if you could hear us, one, it's going better than last week, and two, the Washington Commanders are in the playoffs. What's up? What's happening? Welcome in. It's the Take Command Instant Reaction Show at 9 till 1 in the morning.
I feel good. Feel good.
That makes one of us.
Feel good.
We are going to be here with you for the next 20, 30 minutes or so as we recap an absolutely bananas games. Washington doesn't seem to play any other. Oh, by the way, I'm Craig Hoffman. That's Logan Paulson. This is our podcast / YouTube stream. We do this live after games. Normally, it's not 1 in the morning. Does Washington play any other kind of football game than just absolutely bananas, bonkers football games where they wind up winning in the end?
I mean, they early in the season they had more blowouts than any other team in the NFL, right?
Yeah.
They had a couple of huge wins, winning by plus 20, all that kind of thing. And then the last couple of weeks, I think, obviously it's been a bunch of nail biters, and last 3 weeks in a row, right? And then, right? Is that correct? 3 weeks?
Yeah.
So New Orleans, Philly, this one. And again, like there is something to that, right? There's something to the idea that you can win these games.
Someone should tell them there's also something to winning like they did against Tennessee where it's a lot less stressful.
Yeah, I will say this. Kudos to Atlanta, though. I felt like Atlanta is a good football team. After seeing them live in living color, I think that defense is better than people think. I think the offensive line, the running game specifically for the Atlanta Falcons is pretty good. And I think Drake London is going to be a star in the next year or two. So there's a lot of weapons there. Penix, I felt like there was some deep down the field stuff that he missed on, but I think you see the makings there of a good quarterback. So I think this game, like we talked about in the previous show, is probably going to be the most challenging, outside of the Philly one of the games they've played over the last 4 or 5 weeks. So, so to me, again, this is a good team. This is playoff football. That's a playoff team feeling. This kind of felt that way. And so, kudos to them and kudos to the Commanders for finding a way to win the game.
I mean, they found a way. They also got some help. I want to mostly have this be a celebratory show. I mean, they're going to the playoffs for the first time since 2020.
Yeah.
This is the first 11-win season for the Washington franchise since 1991. They won the Super Bowl that year. And while they're certainly not favorites to do that again this year, like that tells you the kind of season that they are having. And it's funny because they still, after tonight and the result in the Minnesota-Green Bay game, they do control their own destiny for the 6th seed. If they win next week, they are the 6th seed. They are most likely to play LA. However, there's a chance they could also play Tampa.
Yeah.
Or there's also a bizarre chance that they're at Atlanta.
Yeah.
So there's a chance for a couple of different iterations of this to go. But like the top line item should be that Jayden Daniels took over this game and led them to the playoffs for the first time since 2020, the second time since 2015, the third time since 2012, and the first 11-win season since 1991. Like that is absolutely
That's
the
the
headline.
story for sure.
We can talk about Raheem Morris's clock management another day. We can talk about, and we will on Tuesday, some of the issues at the line of scrimmage in both sides of the ball. One that I do want to talk about now, though, is actually defensively, because there was a change that Dan Quinn and Joe Witt made in this game that I think saved the entire game. And we can talk more about Jayden here in a few minutes. But moving Deron Payne to defensive end in the second half and having, of all people, Jalen Holmes play on that other side to finally stop the bleeding that was Bijan Robinson and that just vaunted outside zone in the first half changed this game dramatically. So the Commanders come out. They have a 15-play drive, by the way, aided by an illegal contact penalty on the Falcons on a 3rd and 22.
Crazy.
That would have been a 4 and out. The only reason it was 4 and out, not 3 and out, is because the Commanders committed a penalty and had first down twice. They didn't get a first down. They played first down twice because they had a penalty on a run. So they come out after that 3rd and 22, take advantage of that opportunity. It's a 15-play drive. They come out, they get a first down run stop because all of a sudden there is someone out there to set an edge.
Yeah.
And then 3 and out for Atlanta, 14-play touchdown drive. And by the time Atlanta touches the ball for the second time in the second half, the plays in that half were 29-3, Logan.
Yeah, I mean, it was really incredible. And again, like that shift in defensive philosophy, I think is extremely important to kind of highlight there. And just the physicality that bigger group was able to play with. And again, they didn't get bigger on the interior, but kind of having those big edges like New Orleans did to the Washington Commanders, just kind of being able to set edges, bottle stuff in, keep the linebackers from having to run sideline to sideline. It was a huge adjustment, absolutely huge. And again, it forced them out of the comfort zone, right? I think you could see, we talked about, or at least at the top of the show, that there are some elements to Penix's game where you're like, man, there's something here. Yeah. But he's not a down-to-down player just yet. And especially in a game like this, which has this playoff atmosphere, you could tell he was a little unsettled. he's all of a sudden got to win the game for you. And I think that was ultimately that should have been the goal of the Commanders early. And again, they had a hard time with that because Bijan Robinson is special. Yeah. Tyler Algiers is a special player behind that offensive line specifically. So again, that adjustment is the game. We're going to give a lot of credit to Jayden Daniels, and rightfully so. I mean, holy cow, what a performance! But that is the thing that allows them to possess the football so much there in the third quarter and really shift the momentum of the game.
Yeah, this was a game where they had to find a way, and one of the things they were finding their way around was a ton of these injuries. I mean, they showed up in such a way. I mean, look, I'm not going to do the St. Juice thing here, but I think when you see what happens to Michael Davis in this game, you understand why Juice was playing, and if Juice can just keep his confidence high, he's a better football player. And Sanders still 4th and 11 down here, bro, what are we doing giving up that much to Drake London? But also Drake London's amazing. Yeah. But if Marshawn Lattimore's out there, none of that's a problem. Yeah. Offensively, we'll get to that, but oh my God, did they miss De'Ami Brown in this game? So it's just overcoming, okay, we have some lighter edges. How do we find a way? We have some trouble in coverage. Yeah. How do we crank up the rush? The pass rush was non-existent for the first 2.5 quarters. Yeah. And then all of a sudden they find ways to get home. And so I don't know what you noticed from the sideline in terms of finding a way, but it does kind of fit the larger motif of the game defensively of how they manage their weaknesses and were able to finally get to some strengths.
Yeah, and I do think that it's important to note that this team's best when they're playing complementary football. So if you look at the first half, right, Atlanta's just got crazy rushing efficiency. They can't get off the field. In that third quarter, which again is kind of the tipping point quarter for me, they make the adjustments, right? They can't run the football. They do a pretty good job on third down, and then the offense just keeps them off the field for a really, really long time. And I think, again, that's extremely important. But to your point, some of those pressures with Luvu and Wagner, Bijan Robinson does a great job with pickup. The offensive line knows how to slide and pick everything up. And so you're getting good pockets versus man coverage in the back end. And it was a little dicey. And again, if you have a quarterback who's just a little bit more efficient, I was texting with someone at halftime and midway through the third quarter about the explosive play variance. If they hit one of those shots down the field, this game feels completely different, and they just couldn't connect. And again, I don't think that's on Penix, but because again,
it is, but also it's understandable. And this was actually, I'm not going to go the full petty Craig like I did on the Bears fans, but man, Atlanta fans were noisy this week about Penix and saying, "Oh, we found our guy," and the Kirk thing, and we handled it perfectly.
And they might have found their guy,
and you might have. But when I talked a couple weeks ago about, I can't believe they're making this decision now. I know Kirk Cousins is not good. My whole question was, do you really want to insert your rookie quarterback into a situation like this? And he probably is the better option than Cousins at this point of the season, but it wasn't without drawbacks. And this was the concern that, hey, man, your playoff lives are on the line. They still have a chance next week, depending on what Tampa does. But, you really have a chance to take control of your playoff destiny here. And you're going to have the game put in your hands because teams are going to load up and make you win. Are you ready to do that? And when I think about the long term of his career and how well Jayden has been insulated versus a guy like Caleb Williams, that's not how I'd want to start the career of my future franchise quarterback. And you see, whether it's nerves, lack of reps, whatever it is, that he's just not up to that level right now, and they needed him to be. And good on the Commanders on the Washington side of it for making it so that was true. Because in the first half, all he had to do was turn around and hand the ball to Seven.
Yeah, and I think you see, and again, to kind of play devil's advocate here, in the first half, I think you see exactly what that offense could be with running the football, play action shots, 100%. Keepers, boots, screens, and again, de-leverage throws, de-leverage quarterback position. In the second half, it's the antithesis, right? And again, he did make some high-leverage plays. And again, if you're looking for positives, what a drive, what a throw to Kyle Pitts there. Holy cow, that couldn't have been a better ball. And those are the moments, right? But again, you don't want him living in there early in his career because he's under pressure, he's taking hits, he's being not super deliberate and careful with the football. So there's a lot of things that you don't like about it, but watching the offense in the first half, you see exactly what they're doing because there's so much diversity in terms of formation, in terms of personnel, shifts, motions, boots, change of launch angle. It's all there for you. And again, that just wasn't there when Kirk was there. And so to kind of switch this back around to the Commanders, great job taking away the thing that drives that, which is the run game. And and it was such a subtle personnel thing, but basically Duran set an edge. What's number 96?
Jalen
set
Holmes.
An edge. Holmes has been excellent at that all year, and then just great job by the staff of finding a guy, knowing what he's good at, and being like, you will do what you're good at, and you're going to be a beast. And that's every game that I watch him play. Some games he plays 10 snaps, sometimes he plays 20, some games he plays 30 or 40. He does a great job about being physical and dynamic in the run game, and that's what he did tonight. And you need guys like that. And it makes it easier, especially versus outside zone on the defensive tackles, because instead of having to fill up all this space or run downhill, it's like they have to fit a hole as big as this room as opposed to sideline to sideline, which is what they were getting early. So, and I don't want to be derivative or be oversimplistic, but like that's really all it was. It was just they were better gapping stuff out, setting edges, and being physical and boxing it in. And they weren't able to get 10 yards a pop like they were in the first half.
Right. And it was basically got to the point where Zach Robinson was like, I don't know if this is a good idea. And when the thing that you live on is no longer a good idea, you've done your job, or for an offense, you've done your job as a defense. Yeah. And so they come out the second drive, and they just drop Penix back on first down, which is exactly what Washington wanted versus the ability to just hand the ball off to Bijan Robinson. Okay, obviously, we'll get into some of the coverage stuff. We'll get into some of the, what else changed, if anything changed, when we do the film review on Tuesday. Right now, though, let's talk about 5.
Yeah.
Oh my God. They just...
And so before we talk about 5, there's one thing that I think we absolutely have to address. And so everyone says, a lot of pressure in the first half. And one of the things that you talk about, subtle things that make a huge difference in a game, is putting Chris Rodriguez in. And everyone says, he had a great couple runs. He had a great – as a blitz, as someone picking up blitzes, he did a great job. One of the things that absolutely killed this team in the first half was this, where they line up the defensive end and the linebacker over the guard and tackle. And their linebackers did a great job of picking the tackle, getting the guard and tackle on different levels, and the defensive end would loop around, and there was not an answer for it. Or they'd win one-on-one as a blitzing player. Because we talked about how good Ellis was in those situations, and it showed really up. Good. And so you put C-Rod in for really the third quarter. He played almost the entire third quarter, and it's because of his protection. And it allows Jayden to see the field, make throws, scramble, and it lets the offense get its feet back under itself a little bit. And then obviously Jayden Daniels is Jayden Daniels, and just has one of these performances like we talked about last week, how it felt like he put the game on his back. I didn't think he could do it more than last week, but he absolutely just was like, I am the engine, I am the car, I am the wheels, and I'm going to make this thing go in a way that I have not seen an NFL quarterback do. Obviously, you see Tom Brady or Peyton Manning or Drew Brees do it. Michael Vick, from a physicality standpoint, to have both of those elements in this game was really just impressive. And it was just like there was almost no doubt, because he was the best player on the field. He was going to make it go.
Logan, you, Raheem Morris. Is there anybody else on that staff that was on the 2012 staff?
Oh, shoot. That's a great question. For sure.
Kerrigan was here,
Kerrigan was here, yeah. But, yeah, those two guys for sure. I'm trying to think. That staff is there's a lot of guys that I know.
So whoever that was, you, Kerrigan, Raheem, anybody else that was on the field in 2012 and also on the field tonight, you have been on the field for the only 2 100-yard rushing games by a quarterback in Commanders history.
Yeah.
You played in the last one. He was doing sidelines on the radio tonight, a little bit different. But Jayden Daniels, 120, I think 7 was the final number, yards tonight on 16 carries. It is the only time, other than Robert Griffin III's game against the Minnesota Vikings in 2012, that a Washington quarterback has rushed for 100 yards. I've been sitting on that stat since like week 2 because he had 80 in the third quarter, and I was like, "Hey, PR, can you look this up?" And they're like, "Yeah, it's Robert in 2012." So he finally got it tonight, and I thought it very much might happen because of how Atlanta struggles to finish their rushes. And I think in the second half, especially, Washington's O-line did a good job of at least, hey, if we're going to take on pressure, we're going to push it one way. And they gave Jayden clean escape angles, especially to his right. I don't know, you could talk much more better about this than I can. Like, is that something that you can kind of do intentionally, or is that just Jayden reading it, making a play? Because often they were able to just kind of wash the rush inside, and then he's getting out on the edge and then doing Jayden magic stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really just him, kind of his preference and his feel. Because he did have some stuff where he kind of scrambled through the interior, which he doesn't normally do. But you could tell that was really at the forefront of his mind today in the second half. Just like, hey, And again, there were some designs, like there was a 4th and 2, I want to say, in the second quarter, where they intentionally get him to the perimeter, right? They bring Bryson Tremaine down. He cracks the end. Really nice block by him. Get to the perimeter and just stealing stuff that way. And also they like to do that kind of orbit motion, fake reverse, truck or taxi back to that same side. And so that's probably 3 plays in the game. But in terms of just the volume of his runs, it's literally just the way that you envision kind of playing with the scrambling quarterback in Madden. It's like, we want you to throw the football, but if it's not there, you're going to elevate this play and get us a first down or get us a 5-yard gain. And just the consistency they did that. And the other thing, too, that really stood out to me about this performance was just how physical he was as a runner. Like, he's breaking tackles. These guys are falling down. He's spinning off stuff. And I just was like, again, we always knew that was part of who he was, because when we did our evaluation of him in college, like, that was something he did.
Yeah. He kind of had his first cartoon hit tonight, too.
Yes.
There was one he got hit, and he kind of spun like a helicopter, and I was like, oh, we haven't really seen that. Thankfully, we haven't seen that too much in the NFL, but he definitely had his first one. He also got blasted in the ribs on the one at the goal line.
Yeah.
But able to collect himself and obviously make the throw to Zach to win the game.
But it just to see that, again, like that, him just to turn it up like that was something that I didn't know he had it to that level.
Well, you're not supposed to be able to.
Yeah.
This is the NFL. You're not supposed to be able to do the thing you do when the difficulty level, if you're being honest with yourself, is one level too low in Madden.
Yeah.
You should go up to all pro. You shouldn't be playing on pro anymore if you can just run around in circles like you did tonight. Except for this is the NFL, and he actually just did that in real life. And I think part of it is a kind of like bleep this, I'm doing it mentality.
Yeah.
But it's also a calculation of like, I don't have guys that can win right now, because not only is Noah Brown out, De'Ami Brown's out, and that killed them, because outside of Terry, where they're rolling coverage, and AJ Terrell's pretty good.
Yeah. And also, Terry didn't look quite like himself. I know he's had that injury from practice that he was nursing, an ankle or something that popped up late in the week that Bram mentioned on the broadcast. So, again, not quite 100%, didn't get all the practice reps.
Well, just they had no vertical threat.
And I totally agree with that. And the offense felt tough, in these – even when they were trying to take shots, AJ Terrell did a great job. That's why he's one of the best lockdown corners in the NFL, is because he can take away your best receiver. But I really think you got to give a ton of credit to OZ. Like, he played with such physicality tonight, like just breaking tackles, running hard, making tough catches. It was so fun. I did a post-game interview with him, and I was like, man, this has got to be one of the best games of your career. He's like, yeah, but the one that kills me is the third down there at the end, where it kind of tips off his fingers. Remember that one?
And, that's a good job of the DB.
Yeah, that's what I said to him.
Objectively, good job, DB. Not on you, OZ, but I get it. Like, that's the mentality of how these guys compete.
And just to have a guy like that, a guy like Crowder, and a guy like Ertz, man. Like Ertz, on that broken play where he caught that 50-yard play, that kind of flips the script for the offense a little bit. I didn't know he had that still in the bag.
I don't know if Zach knew he still had that.
Yeah, but like, that was pretty impressive. You know what I mean? And so, again, to get those elevations in this environment where you don't have anybody to take the top off the defense, you can't really protect it. Dude, talk about just a crazy injury thing. Wiley's out. Lucas goes out. Trent Scott is in. Your backup center's in. Like, it's you literally had one extra offensive lineman. If one other person got hurt, you'd have 0 extra linemen. Like that, it was Chris Paul. That was it for any.
When they ran their 14 personnel tackle eligible stuff, they had to bring Chris Paul into the game late.
Oh, I bet you was not done a lot of that.
Which you think they had to burn 2 timeouts trying to get that going.
Yeah.
That's why the Commanders were down timeouts late, is because twice in 3 plays. I think it might have been twice in 2 plays where they tried to run that personnel on the field. I think one of them, at the very least, the officials should have given the old pump
that was
play
the
clock.
old.
Dan was not thrilled about that. Cliff was ready to lose his mind. Anyway, they had to burn 2 timeouts trying to get that done. But anyway, I think seeing the O-line issues, seeing how limited they were at receiver. And again, like, these guys are good zone players. They'll button up, they'll make a catch, whatever. But like, they don't have guys that can win one-on-one versus man coverage. They don't have any kind of deep, explosive vertical threat down the field. And so Jayden was just kind of like, it's a pretty good chance I'm going to have to count to 3 and run. And that's what he did. And he won an NFL football game doing that. That's crazy.
Yeah, and also making some really difficult throws too. Tight windows, and they're running spot down there in the red zone, and Zach is like falling down, catching it away. The touchdown to Zach at the end, like, he made some big time throws, big time plays with his legs. It was literally just, it was kind of I said heroic. So I've heard the word special thrown around. I'm trying to think of a different way to say it. It was so unique.
Gutsy?
So unique in terms of the physicality of the performance and also the intellectual aptitude of it. Like, that's what was unique about it, right? It was, I'm a better athlete than you. I'm playing that way. I'm also really smart, and I see coverages, and I diagnose stuff really well, and I'm playing that way. And I have a really hard time remembering seeing any of the great, iconic kind of dual threat passers play a game that way. Like, where they're rushing for 100. Like, you've seen Cam Newton physically take over a game.
Yeah.
But I've also seen defenses confuse him. Michael Vick physically take over a game. Maybe Lamar
I was
is
going
the
to say,
other one.
there's one guy,
Yeah.
and he might be about to win his third MVP.
Yeah.
I will say the other guy is the other guy that might win MVP. Josh Allen.
Oh,
we don't
yeah,
always
great-
think
great
about
pull,
that way,
great
but
pull.
like
Yeah, that's a
Josh
great pull.
Allen will just physically impose a game or his will on a game in a way that very few players.
But
in the
like,
history of
think
the league.
about both of those guys we're talking about are two of the top 3 best players in the NFL. Like,
Yeah.
maybe Joe Burrow's in there, but like to see a performance from a rookie. I know he's the second overall pick, but that's a great pull by you. Those are the two guys that remind me of, and those
Yeah.
guys are two of the biggest freaks in the NFL. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? So like that was what was special about it.
Right. That's actually something I think I've said a little bit more recently on the radio show, and we might have even mentioned it on the
Yeah.
pod as well. Is like, I think a lot of us push back on the Lamar comparisons coming out for Jayden, but the more
They play.
the more Lamar has grown as a passer,
Right.
and like their styles have almost merged because Jayden is Jayden now is a more developed passer than maybe even Lamar was 2 years ago. But Lamar now is like become an elite pocket passer. Like, he is outrageously good. I remember you
Yeah.
talking about when they played the Ravens this year, being on the sideline, the command he had, all that
Yeah.
kind of stuff. And the way that he also not just makes people miss in the open field and the vertical speed and that kind of stuff, the way guys just bounce off of him. And their spray charts are a little bit different, where they attack on the
Yeah.
field, his throws are a little bit different.
But that's
the
the
way
feel.
defenses play
Yeah.
them and the just utter frustration you must have as a defense trying to contain them.
Yeah.
I don't know who else to compare him to.
Yeah, but those are the two guys. That's exactly right. Those are the guys that do it. You know, because again, the guys that came before this generation of quarterback were one or the other. They're a pocket passer or they're, just a freak athlete that's better than you. But to see it kind of come together, it's that sphere. And Lamar Jackson as a rookie didn't look like this. Josh Allen as a rookie didn't look
God,
like
no.
this. So to see it happening, and again, this is the Atlanta Falcons. They're not a top, but that's a good defense. Watching them in person, they're a better defense. Those two linebackers are excellent. The safeties are good. And to get that kind of performance, and with this supporting cast of guys that I respect. Like, I love OZ. I love Jamison Crowder. Like, I love what they stand for as players and as people, the way they compete. John Bates, same thing. But
Dude, when he ran over
dude,
dude,
I was standing right there,
that
and I
was
was
a
like,
big collision.
and I was like, "Are you okay?" And he was so. But to be able to elevate that group and get the most out of those guys also is very special to me.
I had one of the worst things I can have as someone who covers the Commanders late in this game, Logan, and that was a 2019 flashback. There's a moment where it's like KJ Osborne, Luke, and Terry is the wide receivers, and it just felt very like Cam Sims, someone else I don't remember, and Terry. And I'm like, what are we
So
doing?
there was a couple times where I looked out, and it's Bryson Tremaine,
Yes.
Luke McCaffrey, Osborne,
And you're like, is this the fourth preseason
you're
game
like,
they don't even
what-
play for
like,
anymore?
What is happening? And just again, great. We're going to talk about this. Great job by Cliff saying, like, Bryson, you're good at blocking. We're going to find roles for you. Hey, you
Yes.
can run a good clear out route. We're going to do that for you, right? KJ, we're going to get you blocking on the screen. I know he gets a hold, but like, we're going to find stuff that you do well. Think about OZ, all the routes that he caught. Like, what is he good at? He's a great intermediate route runner that's good after the catch. We're going to find stuff for you
We're
to
gonna
do.
get him in space.
Yes. And I just think like that was great. And then to find kind of little ways, especially in the first quarter, to get the run game going with, hey, we're going to run like this little, wildcat tricky reverse thing, or we're going to run a trap play. We haven't done a lot of that. It's going to hit for a big play. We're going to get C-Rod in for a couple runs. McNichols always does a great job. And, just like that ability to be like, this is what we're going to do because you're good at it.
They also wore the Falcons down.
Yeah.
I mean, you could see at the end of that second drive they had in the second half where Washington just runs it down, and like those dudes were tired.
Yeah.
And that, Chris Rodriguez is fresh, and they've done that a couple times this year. And I, for one, would like to see Chris Rodriguez perhaps a little bit earlier in games, but for right now, I guess we'll take it. Any other thing on the football realm, and then one other thing I'm not even sure that happened.
Any other thing from the football perspective? Yeah, just a gutty performance by the team. Gutty performance by the team. And then congratulations to Reeves, right?
That's what I was going to say.
Okay.
If folks don't know, Jeremy Reeves proposed to his now fiance, because she said yes, after the game. I was talking to Revo after.
Could you imagine if she said no? I always think that's the funniest thing. Like it'll never happen because she's going to say yes. But like at these big, you just clinched a playoff berth and then you propose to your girl. She's like, nah, not tonight. She didn't say that, but
yeah, no, she didn't. I always just be like, say yes for now. You can tell me no when we get home. No, but Revo, I guess, he told me that he bought the ring last year and was going to do it after one of the games last year, and then like a game before is when he tore his ACL.
Oh my god!
And just his entire focus shifted to like obviously getting better and rehabbing, and he said that thing has been burning a hole in his pocket, and so tonight he told the guys like, "Hey, bros, we got to win this." And he proposed after. She said yes. He just pulled her out of the stands, and congrats to Revo.
So the security guard that took her to the field was basically like, yeah, if we were losing, I wasn't supposed to bring her out. I was supposed to take her back to her seat. So obviously he had kind of cultivated it to be like, it's only happening if we win this game. So
Jeremy Reeves, he's prepared.
He's a football guy.
Football guy. I love Revo. He's the best. I got a little bit of a chat with him that you guys can hear on the radio tomorrow. I think it's 1:17 a.m. I think we're done here.
Yeah, we'll see you on Tuesday.
Yeah, we'll see you on Tuesday for the tape show. Hit subscribe if you're watching us right now. Appreciate everyone staying up with us here live. And then for everyone else, you're hearing this in the morning. We were up till 1:18 a.m. Actually, we're up later because now we have to drive home. Okay, the show is over. Thanks so much. Subscribe, hit the like button, all the things, and we'll see you for the tape breakdown on Tuesday. See you all on the radio at 4 tomorrow on the Team 980.